Hey guys, how you doing? My name's Brendan Park, and in this video I'm going to be going over how I made that track. I'm doing it in FL Studio, but you can still follow along in any DAW. So let's jump into it. This is the first beat here. Just going to rattle through some of the sounds. We're sitting at 120 BPM by the way. This is the first kick. And the second. The second is just a tom that I pitched down a bit and took away some of the decay. And I'll show you what they did for the processing. It was just a bit of EQ, taking away some of the low mids, some of the muddy frequencies just to tighten up the sound a bit. Crush is a free distortion unit. With that I just had a bit of drive and rolling off some of the high end as well. So just solo that without the effects on it. And then width. So pretty simple stuff. This is the first clap. Second. And this 808 snare here is just to add a bit of a high end into the sound. And this is how they sound together. Now to add a bit more meat to the sound, I had these Foley recordings. Just a couple of random samples that I got of Splice. It could be anything really, as long as it sounds kind of percussive. This one's a bubble wrap. This is somebody cutting up an apple. So that's kind of like a pre-clap. This is a sound of a door handle, and just added some delay to this. So I'll show you how it sounds and what it does to the claps. Just kind of makes them a bit more interesting. Now this is the other kit. So I had this playing toms and some hi-hats, and it's a good idea to get these kind of real drum samples into this genre of music, just to make it a bit more lively and organic sounding. And that came from a VST from Spitfire Audio. I think it's just called Drum Kit or something, and it sounds good enough out the box. I didn't really do any processing to it. Also used some of the rides from that as well. I think it's just a bit of compression and some EQ to take out the low end. And together with the original kit, it sounds like this. So it just kind of adds that like live element, makes it a bit more human. Now this guy over here, this is another Foley recording. This is somebody playing with some paper or something. Pretty weird and a bit random, and I just use that to chop up and add in between the notes of the actual beat, just to create like another sort of groove to sit behind the other samples. I'll just go through some of the effects and what they do. So this is with chorus. Just adds a bit of movement throughout the stereo field. This is a tape emulation plugin, and all it's doing here is just adding some saturation. Compression just to level out the peaks, and a bit of EQ. Just a bit of bandpass there. And with the original beat that sounds like this. Cool. This is a shaker loop. And another. I was being pretty lazy with those. I just grabbed a couple of samples, a couple of loops, and to them, what's going on? A bit of distortion. Just makes it a bit grittier. And then it's always important to roll off the lows after using distortion, because that's usually where a lot of the frequencies build up. And then I had a bit of a stereo enhancer, kind of push out to the sides. And this was just acting as a volume envelope, kind of like a sidechain. And that's pretty much it for the drums. Just got some percussion hits here. So this was a rim. Got kick here. That's just for the transitions. And a metallic sound here. This one actually had a bit of tone to it. So I just messed around with the pitch until it kind of sounded like it was in the key of the song. So I'll try and show you. Didn't sound like out of place or anything. And all the drums, I'll just play for them now. Cool, that's it. Next we'll be going on to the bass. This is how it sounds. So this sound's actually recorded on my analog synth, which is a Korg MS-20. But if you want to make a similar sound, I can show you here how you can do it in FL or any synth. I mean, all it is a sawtooth, and the processing I had was just a filter to take out some of the highs, which you can open up, which I did later in the track. This was just another lazy sidechain, just a volume envelope, and had a wee bit of reverb on it. And this opens up later on. This is the recording that I did. You can hear it's just a bit fuzzier and it's got a bit more character to it. And that's it for the bass. Just following the same notes as the piano, which I'll go into now. So for the chords, I had this going over a 5-bar loop as opposed to a 4, just add a bit of variation. And on the second and fourth chords, I offset where they come in. So they just come in right before the beat there, just to make it a bit more interesting, really. And I duplicated that piano over here and just added more reverb. So this is how they sound together. And that VST is this soft piano, and that's part of the labs pack that you can get as well, that's free. Sounds pretty nice, quite a warm sound. So good for this sort of stuff. Now these are the pads. This is also another free VST from Spitfire Audio, just called Synth Pads. These are all recorded from actual analog synths, so you get a really good genuine sound. And processing I had on this, where is it gone? There are, so just some compression and the tape emulation again, just for a bit saturation, put up the drive as well, and flutter, which is kind of it's a bit like a tremolo, just wavers the sound a bit. So this is before and after. You can kind of hear it like breaking up a bit as well. This is the chew. So it just gives it more like a lo-fi kind of sound. And a bit of reverb as well. So that just kind of to sit back in the mix, more like a low drone, just like another texture to the track. These are the strings. They sound okay. These are the originals from Spitfire Audio. You kind of get what you pay for with stringed VSTs, and these were 30 quid, so they don't sound too bad. The first instance are these called long slow notes, and they basically just got like a slower attack, so they come in, they take a bit longer to come in when you play the notes. And the second one here just come in a bit sooner. And just had a convolution reverb on that with, what was it? I think it was Live Church. Some of those Jesus vibes. And a bit of EQ, just roll off the low end and add a bit more highs. That's it for the strings. Got this last one down here. So to make that, I got the lead sound. Just played one note. Then it had a shed ton of reverb on it, compression just to keep the sound a bit more consistent, and then recorded that into Edison. So just to show you what I did. Oops. Had that recording, played that sound. And then loops a little part of it, like that. And then I put that into a sampler. And once you drag that in, as long as you're playing the C5, you can just use that as your own instrument. And it'll be in the right pitch. And then I just added a bit more tape emulation just to flutter the sound a bit. Heaps of reverb. And a limiter. I think that was to add some sidechain compression actually when the drums come back in. And that whole sound is just to create like a lot of tension just as you're going into that drop there. So to do that, I had these slide notes. So it goes from C to E, and then up again here. Oh, sounds a bit like your head's going to pop. Gone too long. And the only other thing I did there was with the reverb, with the shimmer, it's quite useful. You can actually change the pitch of the reverb. So that is down an octave, and then I just automated it all the way up 2 octaves. And I'll display that sound with a few others just going into this drop. Cool, so on to the last bit now. We're just going to look at the leads. This is how they sound together. There's a bit of filtering going on at the moment. That's with it coming off. So it's quite an easy patch, which you could do in any VST. It's just 2 operators on at the moment, both saw waves. One's pitched down an octave, and they're fine-tuned off each other, so one's up 10 cents and the other one's down. This is the volume envelope, the ADSR, so a bit decay, loads of release, and this is for the filter. So we've got a bit of an amount, a bit decay, some sustain and release, and if that was to, oops, just take that off. If we were to accentuate this makes it more of like a plucky sound. So taking it back down to about there. So you can kind of see what it does there. And this one, I kind of cheated for this. I just used a preset from Das Autogun, and it's called Flanged Hat 2. And it sounds pretty good. It's a bit like a electric piano. So just layered up those sounds together. And here we've got a shimmer reverb. Adds quite a bit of space. Delay. That's the filter. And again, tape emulation. That's just to create sort of like a vibrato effect. And the wow, that changes the pitch. So it kind of dips in and out. It's like a bit wobble. Just to show you. And that is pretty much it. Yeah. The only other thing is this vinyl sound. That's kind of like your obligatory sort of background noise that you have in this genre. So anyway, thanks for sticking to the end. I hope you did find it useful. If you did, I would really appreciate it if you could give it a wee like. In the description, I'll provide a link to the full track if you want to give that a listen to. Link to all the free VSTs that I use in this project, as well as the project file and the samples and stuff. So hopefully I'll see you in the next video, and look after yourselves. Right, see ya.